All right, let's just jump right in. Blockchains produce a truly insane amount of public data. Every single second. We're talking every transaction, every smart contract call, every NFT mint. It's all just out there. But here's the thing. When you have access to everything, you kind of have access to nothing. Not unless you have the right tools to cut through all that noise. So in this explainer, we're going to decode the world of crypto analytics. Here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll get a handle on the sheer scale of this data maze. Then we'll meet the map makers, the platforms that are charting this new on-chain world. We're going to zoom way in on a fan favorite, Dune, and actually build our first pro-level query together. And finally, we'll pull back out to help you figure out which tool is the right fit for you. So let's tackle the core problem head on. This isn't about a lack of information, not at all. It's about a tsunami of it. The volume is just staggering, almost impossible to wrap your head around. And to put that data tsunami into perspective, just look at this number. According to research from Archive, a single Ethereum archive node, that's the entire history of the chain, is over 21,000 gigabytes. That is massive. And by the way, Solana's ledger, it's even bigger, blowing past 150 terabytes. Trying to analyze that raw data yourself isn't just hard. It's like trying to take a sip of water from a fire hose. It's just not going to happen. And this gets us to the real question, doesn't it? I mean, the whole promise of blockchain is transparency. But that transparency, it's buried under these mountains of raw, messy data. So how on earth do you find the actual, valuable signals hidden inside all of that noise? Well, the answer is a whole new class of tools, crypto analytics platforms. You should think of them as the modern-day mapmakers and cartographers for this digital frontier. They're the ones doing all the heavy lifting, indexing, decoding, and organizing that messy data so you can actually get in there and explore. So let's do a quick flyby of the big players. You've got platforms like Nansen, which is famous for wallet labeling. That's their thing. They attach real-world identities to crypto addresses so you can track what the smart money is up to. Then there's Glassnode, which is much more focused on market sentiment, digging into data from futures markets. Arkham has carved out its own niche in security, using AI to de-anonymize sketchy transactions to help spot fraud. And then there's Dune, which, as we'll see, takes a totally different, open, community-first approach. Okay, so let's zoom in and use Dune Analytics as our mini example to really see how these platforms work. Because while a lot of other platforms sell you curated insights behind a paywall, Dune has really branded itself as the people's champion of on-chain data. And you don't just have to take my word for it. This idea is captured perfectly by the community itself. Like this Reddit user, BigRon1977, said, "Data is king, and Dune is one of the platforms I know that are generously giving it out without hiding behind a paywall." You know, that open, community-first vibe, that's its superpower. So at its heart, Dune is basically this open playground. Anyone who knows a little bit of SQL, the language of databases, can jump in and directly question all this public blockchain data. And from there, you can build your own charts and dashboards and share them with this huge community of other analysts, or as they call them on the platform, wizards. It's pretty cool. And the workflow is honestly surprisingly simple when you break it down. First, you find the data you're looking for. Then, you write a query in SQL to pull out exactly what you need. Step 3, you turn those results into a chart or a graph. And finally, you share it with the world on a dashboard. It really opens up data analysis to way more people. All right, enough theory. Let's make this real. We are going to build a simple but genuinely powerful query right now. Our goal? To track the daily trading volume on all decentralized exchanges, or DEXs. I'm going to walk you through it piece by piece. First up, we have to tell the database what we want it to do. Select some amount USD. That's our instruction. We're just saying, hey, done, add up the total US dollar value of all the trades you can find. See? Simple. Okay, next question. Where is this data coming from? We tell it from dex.trades. Now, this right here is one of Dune's best magic tricks. Instead of you or me having to deal with raw, super complex data, Dune has already made these clean, easy-to-use tables. This one, dex.trades, neatly organizes trading data from tons of different blockchains. This step alone saves you hundreds of hours of work. It's a game changer. And finally, we don't want the entire history of crypto, right? We just want what's happening now. So we add a where clause to filter things down. This line tells the query to only look at trades from the last 30 days. And boom, just like that, you have a working query that shows you the total DEX volume for the last month. But wait, what if you want your dashboard to be interactive? This is where you level up with something called parameters. By adding a little piece of code like this, with those double curly brackets, you create a dynamic filter. Now anyone looking at your dashboard can just type in Uniswap or Curve and see the volume for that specific project without ever having to touch your code. Okay, so here's a real pro tip. What happens when those nice, clean tables aren't enough? For the really advanced stuff, Dune lets you get your hands dirty with the raw data. A popular trick in the community is using special functions like byte array to int 2560 to translate raw, messy byte data into a number you can actually use. This gives you almost unlimited power to analyze literally anything happening on chain. All right, let's pull back out. We've seen how powerful a tool like Dune can be for custom analysis, but the ecosystem is packed with amazing options. The key, really, is picking the right tool for the specific job you're trying to do. So what is your goal? It kind of boils down to this. If you want to build super specific custom dashboards and do these really deep, granular dives on a protocol, Cointelegraph's analysis suggests Dune is pretty much unbeatable. But if your goal is more like whale watching, tracking big investors and spotting broad market trends, then a platform like Nansen is probably a better fit for you. So the big takeaway here is that there's no single best tool. It's all about having the right tool for the right job. Think of it like a toolkit. Dune is for your custom deep dives. Nansen is for your whale watching. Arkham is your go-to for sniffing out fraud. And Glassnode is where you look for futures data. Each one has its own special power. For the first time in the history of finance, we have this global, open ledger of transactions that anyone can analyze. The tools to explore it are getting better and easier to use every single day. So the only question that's left is, what are you going to discover?